Actually, I might.
Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Derek Lemaster.
This is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news. And I know you're asking, where is Lydia? Well, Lydia couldn't make it this week, so we're doing a two-man show. And for the first time ever, we are actually doing it
Live.
in person.
Yeah.
Hi, how you doing?
It'll be an adventure for everybody. We'll see how it works out.
We will indeed. So how you doing, Derek?
I'm okay.
You good?
Yeah, better Sundays, but the pizza that we ordered earlier was excellent. So
It was very good.
pretty excited about that.
We have been working on the movie all day,
We have.
putting together pitch decks, bunch of other stuff. So that's on the way.
We're going to take a poll in the comments. If you think that magnets on cars with advertisements are a good idea, let us know down in the comments.
He brought this up to me earlier. Magnets on cars for the advertisement.
Yeah, just picture it. It says local filmmakers trying to raise money for a project with a QR code.
That's a link to the Indiegogo, right?
Exactly. It's a gold mine. Untapped,
Foolproof plan.
untapped marketing potential.
I know. You know what? I wonder how often that works. I mean, I do see, I've never used a QR code that I've seen in a car.
I have one time.
Haven't you?
Yeah.
I always see, Jim Bob's
Well, that's
scooter
'cause
shop,
they're
and I'm like,
usually-
nah.
It's because they're usually lame. It's like, something roofing. Yeah, I got a roof. You know what I don't have? I don't have a sponsorship for
You haven't invested in any movies.
That's true.
That's
There you
true. So out there, you guys invest in the movie. We'll have that information, of course, at the end of the episode, and it should be live here soon for the donations. But it's coming along, man.
Yeah.
Cast is pretty much done. We have the crew assembling. We are making movies. I'm excited. But we're here tonight to talk about a very special movie, all the way back to the 1999 days.
I was really legitimately shocked.
Or 2000, I should say.
Yeah, that we hadn't done this movie yet.
Yeah.
Because, boy, let me tell you, what really reminded me of this the other day, Quincy, I guess we decided to do this movie before. But anyway, I was shocked we hadn't seen this movie. But ironically, I was telling Quincy we were going to do this, and she was like, I'm not watching that with you. And I'm like, why did you get behind a semi that was carrying some logs? And she goes, well, no, but I was on the highway and like something crazy happened. And so I guess it scared her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's part two.
It is part two, but still,
Yep.
part
Yeah.
two.
I mean, it does. This movie, I remember when this movie came out, we had by the way, we're doing Final Destination. I don't know if we said that.
We
Of
didn't
course,
say that.
you know that we're doing Final
Yeah, because you
Destination.
tuned in last week.
And you know what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll talk about that here in a minute. But first, Derek, I've got a little bit of horror news. So let's pop into it. Let's start with this one here. There's a new book coming out called Conversations with John Carpenter that collects 16 years of exclusive John Carpenter interviews.
I bet you pre-ordered that right now.
I just found out about it today. But yes, I will. Pre-orders are soon from FAB Press's official website. That's who's doing it. I will pre-order it because the written word of John Carpenter is the most important thing in the history of our planet.
I mean, it's right up there.
It's up there. Yeah. So, I mean, you'll look at this. I know you don't read, so.
Only when I have to, which is usually for work. So this is a collection of stories or interviews, or
So it says it's called Bringing Darkness Instead of the Light, is a culmination of over 15 years of startlingly candid conversations between John Carpenter and author Michael Doyle. In the wealth of frank, often funny, and lively exchanges, we enjoy an unprecedented insight into the famously private filmmaker's life and career, which rich with amusing anecdotes and jaw-dropping details never previously seen in print. They delve not just into production of his movies, but also the creative process and Carpenter's forthright views on topics as diverse as politics, fear, drugs, and the weird tales of author H.P. Lovecraft.
Man, 15 years. That's kind of just a drop in the bucket
It is,
for
but
his life. Because he's what? In his mid-70s, probably?
yeah,
So that would go back to when he was 60?
60 probably, yeah.
Ish?
But and that means that would probably be around the time that he made his last film to current, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, the last movie he made, as of now, look at that cover. It's fucking beautiful, right?
That was pretty cool.
So I mean, the last movie he made was the John Carpenter's The Ward, which was in like 2009. So they made a film since.
Yeah,
But I'm definitely getting that. That's pretty awesome, right?
that is pretty cool.
Here's some news. Kate Siegel and David, that's Malchan, who you know from, The Dark Knight. He's the one that plays the freaking guy that Harvey Dent is interrogating. That has the pin that says Rachel Dawes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know him from that.
Yeah, I do.
You know him from Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
And Kate Siegel, of course, we know because it's Mike Flanagan's wife and muse. They are starring in an upcoming action horror movie called Epilogue, which is produced by Mike Flanagan. It is a zombie film set 1 year after the zombie apocalypse has supposedly come to an end. The film will follow a desperate couple who set out to find a cure for their infected daughter.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
It sounds awesome.
Yeah.
That's it sounds really cool. It's just it hits really close to
Home for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, you have kids and
Yeah.
you can imagine what that would be like.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
It would be terrifying. I'll go see it.
Yeah. You
For
know
sure.
what? We'll do a mandate and we'll go see it.
Yeah.
Leave our wives at home.
Yeah, we do that with.
We do that periodically for horror movies. Usually it's like big ones.
Usually it's the Halloween franchise.
Halloween, or we did it with Wolverine and
Yep.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, that just came out, by the way, physical. I didn't know that until I went to Walmart the other day and I was like, oh, I'm going to buy it, but they didn't have any 4Ks. So they'd sold out of all. So,
wow.
Yeah. Well, that's like the biggest movie. One of the biggest movies ever.
Yeah.
So, pretty popular.
Can't wait for the whole
Yeah.
Wolverine. Make it happen.
One of these days.
Disney. Back the truck up.
So, Jamie Lee Curtis has said never say never, still has a never say never attitude about the future of Halloween.
I love Jamie Lee.
So it says
I better have a good script.
She says I have hung up my bell bottoms and my pale blue button-down shirt, and I've relinquished Lori to the ages with a warm aloha. And thanks for all the years and memories. And yet, if I've learned anything in my 65 years on the planet, it is never say never. Goodbye. And then she hung up. So, and then she posted afterwards, she shared that story with a little, like, hey, and with a pumpkin, blood, heart, and crossed fingers. So, Derek, do you think, would you be up for a Laurie Strode return, or do you think it's time to move on and let the shade stalk somebody else?
I think that chapter probably should be closed.
Unless they retcon Halloween Ends completely.
Well, I know, but I mean, then you're unless they do that. You and I had talked about this. They should just pick up with Danielle Harris's character.
Yeah.
And start, if they wanted to do something, if they wanted to like retcon something.
Yeah.
Do that.
Pick that up. Yeah.
Because the other one was just so definitively ended.
Yeah.
That I feel like you really don't have a foot forward there.
Yeah. Halloween Ends ended with a fart.
Thud.
Yeah. A fart in the wind.
That was a something you thought was going to be a fart and turned out
to be shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You charted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I love Jamie Lee Curtis, so I don't know. I love
know,
Laurie Strode.
man, I know.
But also, yeah, I think you're right. It's time to do something else, maybe.
Well, not only that, but if you went forward with
How?
Danielle
How?
Harris,
Yeah.
you at least you could potentially, depending on how you develop it, you could have a decade worth of Halloween movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because she's in her what, mid-40s?
40s. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's still beautiful.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's the path I would go down. You and I talked about this.
If you're going to do that, and if you're not just starting at standalone Michael Myers movie,
that would be the other option.
I think that would probably be the
best.
But I would love to see Danielle Harris again as Jamie Lloyd.
You know, the only thing with like starting completely over.
Well, I mean, you always have to. The original film has to exist, regardless.
Yeah.
So then it's just where does it set? What's going on?
Oh, I got a great idea.
What's that?
You could introduce for the first time ever, never before seen ever in the history of that franchise, a weird cult.
No.
You could do that because they haven't seen that yet.
What if we have him destroyed by runes?
No, that's too ridiculous.
You don't think that'll work?
That's too ridiculous. I don't even understand what you're talking about. Runes?
Oh my god, that was like the most devastating part to you.
Macaroons?
That was the most devastating part to you about that.
Dude,
because you were in. You were in.
Because it was dumb.
You were in up to that point.
I was. They had me.
You were like, this is a better cut of the movie for sure.
I thought that for just a moment.
Yeah.
I was.
Well, I think it is up until the ending. I think.
Yeah, they really like lost their way, and I guess it wasn't that they lost their way. They just were like somebody slipped something in the drink that night.
It's just a
terrible. I got a good idea.
All of it was awful.
Why don't we do this?
Okay, so we have our first images from the It prequel series. Welcome to Derry.
Ooh.
Right here, set in 1962. So it's very 60s looking, right?
Oh, it is very 60s looking. Are you by chance sharing your screen?
I'm not. I probably should though.
Go ahead.
That way we can see it on here. Okay, here we go. So it says it kicks off in 1962, leading up to the events of It Chapter 1. So we know that Pennywise is not going to be defeated, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
More about these. Do these people survive? Looks great though, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it says here that Bill Skarsgård returns as Pennywise, and Andy Muschietti, who directed both of the It movies, is returning to direct 4 of the season's 9 episodes. So about half of the episodes is going to be directed by Andy Muschietti.
Yeah, and that is good news overall.
Yeah,
like
for consistency's sake.
I mean, yeah. Also, Pennywise is a hard character, I think, to really get.
Mm-hmm.
So you've had 2 really great actors. You had the amazing
Tim Curry.
Thank you. And then Bill did a really good job.
Yeah.
When he was cast, I'll be honest with you, I had my reservations because the work that he had done, I was not a real fan of.
Mm-hmm.
But then, he changed my mind.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing that's funny about it, there's a bit before we saw the movie, like when they were releasing just like still images and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They did this one horribly photoshopped image of him coming out of the pipe. Do you remember this?
Vaguely.
It was awful. So see if I can find it here. There it is. So this image, it looks terrible. I'll share it. This image here.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looks bad, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when this came out, I saw this, and I was like, "Oh my god, this movie's going to be shit." Like, I think Pennywise looks pretty cool, but this movie is going to be bad. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because that was just a horribly photoshopped thing. And then I remember there was a meme going around where they just kept loading the pipe with more and more shit. So like more shit was popping out with Pennywise. It was hilarious. But then I saw the first trailer and I was like, looks pretty good. You know, and I was in to go see it. And then after the movie, I was like, okay, you did a fucking great job. Good job. And then finally, here's our last bit of horror news. I'm going to share with you, we have posters, character posters for Robert Eggers' new Nosferatu film. So here we go. Here's Nicholas Holt's character. He plays the Jonathan Harker character. Emma Corrin, who played like the Mina character. Willem Dafoe, who was our Van Helsing-like character.
Oh, he's a real good pick for that.
Oh, yeah. Aaron Taylor Johnson. I don't know exactly who Aaron Taylor Johnson is playing. Lily Rose Depp. I don't know who she's playing quite either. Looks great, though, right?
Mm-hmm. Those images look
They're
amazing.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right? We don't have Count Orlok, obviously. I think they're keeping him under wraps.
You know what? It's for the best.
Which is Bill Skarsgård, speaking of which.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for fucking Nosferatu, aren't you?
Yeah.
That comes out this December. That's when we should fucking.
They had the trailer, right?
Yes, the trailer is out.
Yeah, I think I saw it, and it looked
phenomenal.
It looked good.
Yeah, we need to see that. Comes out this December. That might be one that we need to check out.
Yeah.
Lydia might drag along with that one because she really wants to see it. All right, and that wraps up the horror news. So, Derek, picture it. It's 2000. The turn of the millennium has happened. And we get my first touch of teen horror of the decade, of the new millennium, which is Final Destination. Yeah. So what are your memories of Final Destination?
Oh, man. I'm trying to recall what my memories would have been because, I'm not a spring chicken anymore.
Yeah, and we've seen it multiple times.
Yeah, so I can tell you this. Even rewatching it, like this movie, first off, rocks.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really cool premise.
Yeah. And
it also is pretty suspenseful and scary.
Pretty what?
Yeah, pretty suspenseful and scary.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can only imagine like when it came out, I was probably like, yeah, no wonder like it greenlit a flurry of sequels. Yeah.
Well, and it's like
because there's endless imagination of how people can die.
Yeah, especially when it's not. I mean, I joke about this. We spend, at least I do, a more than normal amount of time thinking of ways that people need to die.
Yeah.
Or films for when I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
And for not only Secret Admirer, but for the other horror movies we're writing, I'm like, what would be a cool way to kill this character?
Yeah.
And what's interesting about the Final Destination ones is you get to come up with ways to kill characters by an unseen force that you can set like a mechanism in motion that plays out to their demise.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool. So do you remember the first time you watched this?
But I don't think it was in theaters, 2000. So I would have been still in high school. I probably would have been a sophomore. So I 100% probably rented this on a weekend because that cover art, dude, was prime. It was great. But yeah, I definitely rented it. I doubt I went to the movies to see it.
So I actually remember watching this for the first time.
Do you?
Yeah. I was a freshman in high school, or about to be a freshman. So it came out in 2001, I think, on physical media. So it probably hit DVDs in home media. So September of 2000. So yeah, around there. I graduated in 2004. So I was probably a freshman. So you probably would have been going into a junior.
I probably might have, but well, I mean, it depends on when this came
Yeah.
out. I was probably a sophomore.
Yeah, it's September of 2000. So I was about to become a freshman in high
Yeah.
school. So this was one of the early DVD rentals or purchases we had. We didn't rent this. My mom bought it.
Mm.
She just bought it sight unseen. And I remember watching it for the first time. And so I remember watching it at her house. Then I also remember watching it at my dad's house as well. But I remember she told me, it's a horror movie. I was like, okay, let's see what it's about. I saw the trailers for it. I knew what it was about. And we watched it. And I remember thinking how much my brother Zachary loved this movie even more than me because he liked the teen actors.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved the story. And I remember watching it the first time. And like when some of the deaths happened, I was just like, this is incredible.
Oh yeah, like the
bathtub one comes to mind. The train one, my favorite. We'll talk about it here in a little bit.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, I remember it like just taking it all in, and I remember after that watching it several times with Zachary because it was his pick. So when it was time for us to watch, what movie do you want to watch? If we want to watch a horror movie, he would pick this one, and I would always pick fucking Scream. It came out a few years earlier, and it's one of my favorites. So I remember us and it was kind of the same feeling. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So a little backstory for Final Destination. It was actually the creative team behind it were writers on the X-Files.
Really?
Yeah, James Wong and Glenn Morgan, Jeffrey Reddick. So that's kind of where it started. And it originally was called, I think Flight 66 is what it was called. Or Flight 108. I mean, the name of the flight. The movie was called Flight 108.
Interesting.
And then they changed it to Final Destination, which when I was younger, I was just like, okay, that's the name of the movie. But it's because, that's your final destination on your flight. Clever.
It was, yeah.
So what do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about
So before we get into the movie, another kind of ironic and funny thing. Yeah, so my daughter just had her birthday party, right? And it was themed in Madeline, which is set in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting at the table last night after everybody had left, and Quincy was like, man, I wonder how long it takes to get to Paris. And I was like, 7 hours. And I was like, now I say that because I just watched Final Destination, and that's the whole, hey man, we got to take a shit before we get on this plane.
Yeah.
But then I looked it up, and it 100% from New York is a 7 hour, 15-minute flight.
Yep.
But anyway.
Yep. So yeah, where do you want to start?
We should start where every good movie starts.
The beginning?
At the beginning. Yeah.
So the setup for this is pretty cool. I remember watching it for the first time and really appreciating this, because we open with just some, getting to know everybody. They're boarding the plane, all that stuff. We're kind of introducing some of our characters. And then that first action scene, the first death occurs, and it's great, that the plane crash.
Oh yeah, and there's some parts of that are intense.
Oh yeah,
like especially right before he kind of comes out of his vision or what have you, like he's being blown, like his skin's being melted off by the fire.
The fires.
Rewatching it, you're like,
I like watching him get sucked out.
Yeah, getting sucked out of the plane, and it's pretty wild. Especially
since you don't see it coming. If you let's say you didn't know the plot of this movie and you went in to watch it, it's a hell of an opening. I mean, it's a hell of an opening, even though you do know. But
right before he does come back to present, you're just like, well, what movie are they going to have?
Yeah,
because everybody they've just introduced
is dead, and these are big stars. Devon Sawa. What are we talking about? Sean William Scott.
Yeah.
Ali Larter, Kerr Smith. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I love that. And then when we get to the, when he wakes up from his vision and he throws the whole fit, has everybody stay off, and the plane takes off and the explosion happens.
Oh, I love how they're like, because they're in the terminal
Mhm.
and they're having an argument, and they're like, "I can't believe you did this. I'm gonna miss this." And all you're watching the plane take off in the background.
Yeah, it's all in the
It's in
background of the shot.
Yeah, in the background of the shot. So, and then as they're fighting, you just see it.
Big
And
fireball.
then the fucking glass busts. So
Yeah, that concussion hits.
yeah, it was pretty cool.
Great opening.
It was a great opening.
It's one of the best, really.
Yeah.
And what a great premise. So we that's our original premise. Oh, he had a vision. He saw Death's plan,
Mhm.
and he escaped it. But then we get the backside of that, which is, well, now Death has to get his back.
Well, yeah, and it's pretty cool that I mean, you all not like you always, but like very often in movies, they do portray Death as like an entity.
Mhm.
I mean, that's very much so what he is here, right? He had a plan for you, and you broke it. So
Mhm.
now it's him coming back to fulfill that plan. Although it does pick up what 6 weeks later when they were at the funeral
I
scene?
think so. 39 days later.
39 days later, yeah. So 39 days go by, and then Death
Comes a knocking.
knocking.
Yeah. So let's talk about our characters. Let's talk about Alex first. Devon Sawa. What do you think?
Oh man, he was so prominent because this is the second movie we've done of him.
Yeah, around this time period.
In a horror movie setting, because he was in Idle Hands.
Yep.
Ironically enough, these are both movies that I picked.
Yes.
Not intentional.
You're a big
but,
Sawa head.
I don't know. I looked up what he looks like now, and I did that like 5 years ago, and I was like, interesting.
Yeah, he looks the same almost.
We have pull a picture out.
He's in the Chucky series.
Oh, is he? Well, the picture I saw, he was like slightly jacked, and
yeah, there he is.
Yeah, you're not sharing your screen.
I know I'm not.
Kind of looks a little bit like a young Kirk Cameron there.
A young Kirk. I think he's fucking the same age as Kirk Cameron.
Well,
No,
he
he's
looks
probably a
better than
little.
Kirk
He's
Cameron.
probably a little younger. Yeah, Devon Sawa right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I follow.
Oh, he was in Casper.
Yeah. You
Didn't
forgot
realize
that he was in
Yeah,
Casper?
I forgot he was in
Yeah.
Casper.
Can I keep you?
Yeah.
Yeah. There he is now.
Tell me he doesn't look a little bit like Kirk Cameron's brother.
I think he looks like Devon Sawa to me. You're crazy. I follow Devon Sawa on Twitter. He's great. He's great. And then the Chucky, he's in the Chucky series, which we'll get to eventually.
What does he play in the Chucky series?
He plays a new character in each season.
Oh, okay. Like an anthology role?
Yeah, kind of. He dies every time. Yeah, so he's great. Great in this.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
He is good in this. And then let's see, the one kid from Dawson's Creek.
Kurt Smith?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in. We did a movie he was in. Do you remember it?
What was that?
He was in the Thanksgiving movie we watched last year. He was the dad.
Oh,
They feasted upon him.
what Thanksgiving movie was it?
It wasn't Thanksgiving, unfortunately.
It wasn't Thanksgiving, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it was Thanksgiving. He
Yeah.
is in that.
Remember? Yeah. Feasted upon.
I don't remember. I think the wife gets eaten in Thanksgiving.
No, he's on the table. He gets. Remember, I think they reveal his head. Either way, he died.
Yes, he does. Yeah,
he did die.
yeah.
So we've done a movie that he's been in, but yeah, man, let me tell you what. This really bothered me because his girlfriend.
Yeah,
The signs are there, lady.
yeah.
I know you don't make it much longer in this movie, but
He plays Carter.
yeah, he does play Carter.
Yeah. Carter is a dick.
100%. It's almost kind of close, a redeeming aspect a little bit, but
Yeah.
he was such an asshole to his girlfriend.
He's an asshole kind of to everybody.
I know, but it was just kind of like, I can't wait till you die, man.
Yeah, Carter. And then Ali Larter is Clear, which, by the way, she's had such a movie name, Clear. That is a movie name if I've ever heard of one.
Yeah.
And it's rivers, clear rivers.
See, I thought it was Claire.
No,
So
it's clear.
Clear Rivers. Man, her parents
Must
must have been on the same reservation as Joaquin's.
Yeah,
family.
yeah, exactly. There's some hippies going on there. Hippy dippy bullshit there.
But yeah, and she's very eccentric.
Yeah.
So like her dad died, right? And then her mom married some guy and then abandoned her.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't call it cool.
No, it's
I
not.
know you wouldn't call it cool either,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what a terrible thing. And yeah, so she just, and I guess she lives at that house by herself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's at high school.
Mhm.
Would have had a couple ragers.
Of course, yeah. But she's, keeps to herself.
Well, she seems quite mature for her age.
She is.
because
She's way more
making
mature than everybody else.
sculptures out of metal.
Like I said,
Interpret art.
she's definitely a movie character.
She's definitely a movie character for sure.
She's like a dream girl, isn't she?
Yeah, she kind of is, because that one scene that where Devin comes over to her house and she was like, "This one's you," and it's just like this this metal statue with a bobblehead, giant spring for a neck. And she's like, "I don't know what to make of you."
I'm like, I don't know if I like that in this movie. Looks like a murder tool.
She was at least perceptive enough to when he tried to rush off the plane because he thought it was going to explode. She said that she felt like she felt something that he was feeling.
Yes.
So she's a very perceptive character.
Yeah.
Yeah, she goes with the flow.
Yeah. So let's start. There's his girlfriend, like we talked about, Terry.
Oh, I love her death, man.
Well, her death's the best. We'll talk about it. We're going to talk about all the deaths here in a minute. The teacher, Valerie.
Yeah, that lady.
Kristen Cloak.
Feel bad for her.
Yeah. And then Sean William Scott, we've got to mention real fast, as Billy Hitchcock, who was hilarious in this, by the way.
This did this come out before or after?
This
American
was
Pie?
pre-American Pie. No, American Pie came out in '99, right?
Had it? I guarantee he filmed this
Probably
before that came out, because otherwise, I'm sure he would have.
American Pie was '99, so he had to have filmed this before. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm because coming out of American Pie, like
he was a superstar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
he's great in this. His character's fun.
He is. Yeah.
His character's funny. So let's start. We have to mention Tony Todd also.
You can't not watch these movies because he's in all of them that I've
Most
ever
of
seen.
them. Yeah.
I've not. I'll be honest with you. After like the third one, I haven't really kept up.
There's like a lot. I think I've seen all of them, but like I've only seen like the later sequels only once. Whereas like this one and part two, I've watched multiple times.
Yeah.
I think they're both really good. And the other ones I've seen a handful of times.
There was one, not to get too ahead of ourselves, but there was one where they wrapped it all back around.
That's the last one that's filmed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, he's great, of course. Bloodworth.
Mm-hmm.
He's Tony Todd.
He knows.
He knows
He
death.
knows something.
He knows the way. Yep. And he's kind of like a narrator character. He's kind of our exposition machine.
He is. He's like the usher.
Yeah.
To take the dead to the
other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we kind of he's our exposition. He's the one that tells us about Death's plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so what? So when the mysterious deaths start happening, Alex is putting together that they're dying in the order that they died in his vision.
Mm-hmm. They would have died on the plane.
Yes. So in the order that they would have died in the plane crash, in his vision, is how Death is picking them off. And then they also find out if they skip one, it boomerangs back.
They find that out at the end.
Yeah, but if they skip one, basically, he comes back, it boomerangs back, essentially.
Which it would have been I do understand why they do that, because Death, man.
Yeah.
No loose ends.
Yeah.
But it also would have been a really cool path to take. Like, hey, you did it a second time, so your path is just reset.
Yeah.
I could have seen them going with that. But,
yeah. But, you need a franchise, baby.
Well, you still could have.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a scarier ending, right?
It is a scarier ending because you leave it knowing that, like, okay, no matter what they do,
Yeah, yep, they're gonna be forced to fight this forever, kind
yeah,
of thing.
they can't. They might as well. I mean, at that point, I might just
He's got to find
do it
ways.
myself
He's got to find ways to keep you. I wonder if you did it yourself.
if it counted.
Yeah, if you at least attempted it. We'll see.
What would have happened if you tried to do it out of order?
Yeah, if you're like, well, Death, what do you think about this? And you shot her in the face.
Yeah, she would have lived.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what you shoot her with, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway,
So let's talk about the deaths here. Let's start with the teacher's death.
you want to start at the teacher's death? Okay.
Where do you want to start? You want to start with the shower?
We can start at the teacher's death and come back because
Well,
the teacher's death.
Well, let's talk about the shower first
Okay.
because it's a great death.
You know what I didn't like about that scene?
The one thing I think you don't like that I don't like. What is it?
The water retracted.
Yes.
Why?
To make it look, I don't know. I hate that too because the rest of them play out like, oh well, accidents. When we know Death is moving the thing, but they play with the accidents. I think I hate that too because it's like it's too. I don't know. It's first of all, why would you do that? If it looks more like an accident if the water's there.
Exactly. It really that's the one.
Unless it's like, well, the water would have no reason to really leak here, kind of thing. But I don't know why I don't know why that's one thing I don't like too.
Yeah,
But it's very very suspenseful.
It is. It's very like cause and effect.
In the trend, yeah,
because
intricate,
exactly. Because if you're setting up like a random death, like how it's kind of like remember it was a game. It was called Mousetrap.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, board game.
Well, I think maybe I'm just like making. So this is a side tangent. Maybe it was a board game. Wasn't there a board game where like the Mousetrap?
Mousetrap. Yeah.
So
like a cage comes down.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I think it was a physics class, and we had to. So we were given like vague parameters, and they're like, it was Mr. Beeson. He was like, okay, you have to lift 100-gram weight. And then a minute later, or as close as you can get to a minute, a bell has to ring, right? And so he gave you a vacuum, that would push out air, so a shop vac, and then you had the confines of a box. And so like I was just sitting in class, and I was like, oh, so a little bit like Mousetrap. So my partner and I, once we got to the top, it triggered a little micro machine car that had a pin at the top, at the end of it, that slid down and it popped a balloon. The balloon was inflated so that it would create a barrier. It was either sand or maybe it was water. So once it popped the balloon, then it released the water and it was on like a teeter-totter. So and we timed it, so there was just enough liquid in there that it would time out to be about a minute, and it would tilt up,
ring the bell,
roll a thing down to ring the bell. Completely side tangent, but we did get invited to an awards thing at the end of the year because he had never had anybody come so close to
the minute.
Yeah, because we were at like 59 seconds.
Oh, really, really close. Yeah.
Yeah, and there were some people in the class who were, pretty smart, and they were so mad.
Yeah, I bet.
Because ours was better than theirs, and it was so simple. But anyway.
And then Mr. Beeson, gave you detention for saying the word "p."
Yeah, I don't know for it. It's fun. I forget where we. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So his death is still really cool. Like I like the way it wraps around.
I like the eye
eyes. Yeah,
the eye effect is haunting.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
the red bloodshot eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's real scary.
Yeah,
like you can only imagine not seeing that in real life, and that has to be fairly close to what it looks like.
Yeah,
it's pretty scary.
Yeah, really good. The teacher's death is one that's a little like more intricate, even because the happenstance that has to occur is wild, like the water dripping into the computer.
Yeah,
from the mug. Triggered to explode.
Exactly. The thing that gets me with that is it's just like they were like, man, what can we do to this teacher? Because she gets a shard of computer monitor shoved into her neck.
Yeah.
She gets a giant knife cleaver stuck
in her. Yeah.
She gets a chair tipped over to really
ram it in.
emphasize
Yep. Ram that in.
Yeah, and then her house explodes.
Yeah.
They couldn't think of one.
They couldn't think of one. They're like, hey, you know what? Let's do all of them.
Yeah. Hey, we got a lot of ideas, and we're not going to get them all.
Yeah, that's a really funny one. But it's like the whole, just all of it, the way it boop, 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 cracks me up.
Well, and she also telegraphs it hardcore because she goes to pick out her record because she's packing. She's leaving.
Yeah.
She's spooked. Devin really scares her, freaks her out. And so she grabs Mama's old records and puts on some John Old Denver.
Yep.
And then when Rocky Mountain High pops on, she's like, oh, and then that's where the shit hits the fan.
Yeah. Dude,
you're ever driving in a car and that song comes on, turn the
radio, pull over to the side of the road.
Yeah.
We got to talk about Terry's death because it's my favorite in the movie. It's so good because it's so out of nowhere. I remember that first watching this, and and now in hindsight you can see it because the way it's framed. But
yeah.
But in the moment when you're first time watching this, you're not going to see that because it's not like an natural framing for the shot because we've seen it multiple times because we have a close on her multiple times. If we were shooting it wide the whole time, then we're just at that. You know what I mean? That shot, the net might give it away. But I remember the first time watching it, and that happens, and she just, you can drop dead and just fucking blasted by that bus. Dude, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was very shocking, out of nowhere.
It's a great one.
Yeah, so if you pay, not if we pay close attention, but if the characters pay close attention, they can see the fabric of Death's design because Devin sees in a reflection the
108, 180.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
The bus.
Yeah.
He sees the rippling reflection of the bus.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really where he puts it all together.
Yeah, he's starting to
that he can see the signs and he can
hopefully prevent it because he finds out when he saves Carter that it's okay, it skipped him, so now it's going to come for the next person.
Yeah.
And then that's when we see the boomerang at the end.
To go back to the beginning of the movie just for a second, I do think at the beginning of the movie there's too many in your face ironic things that occur. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a ton.
Yeah, because there's a song.
Yeah, there's a song, and then there's all kinds of there's the little, maybe one or too many hints.
Yeah.
But then as he's picking up on them, they're super subtle, more or less throughout, as you're going through the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
so
the beginning
toned that down.
Well, I think they did it to make a point. Yeah, I think to say, hey, look at all of these terrible signs. These are bad omens, and only he's kind of picking up on them.
Yeah,
with Rocky Mountain High, all that stuff. Rocky Mountain Way and all that stuff. So, yeah, so that's a great death. And then, dude, let's talk about old. Sean William Scott's death is great.
It is pretty cool
because it kind of comes out of nowhere, right?
It does come out of nowhere. There's right before it happens. There's a
big scene.
Well, there's a little key that it could happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was really where what's his face? I forget the character's name.
Carter.
Yeah, Carter. Yeah, so Carter, because his girlfriend just died.
Yeah, so he's
at the end, and he kind of takes that because we talked about maybe I'll do it myself. He kind of takes that mantra.
Yeah.
He wants the control back. He's trying to get the control back.
Yeah.
And he parks on there to prove a point,
I can do what I want. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he decides, okay, well, maybe I don't want this. And then his seatbelt gets stuck.
Yeah. You're like, oh man.
Don't test fate.
Yes.
Don't do it. But luckily, Devin's there to save the
Save him,
day.
pull him out. We think
Mhm.
that we prevented another one, but there's a shrapnel
Oh man,
on the
comes out of nowhere
on the train track.
Yep, and
There goes his head.
yep.
It's a great effect for the time,
Oh yeah,
and it's a really shocking one too, because it literally comes out of nowhere.
especially because they pull back on that shot, and as the train is passed, you just see this.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, great one. Yeah, it's a great one. So then we get into like kind of the third act.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the third act of this one?
So it's there's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's very busy.
It
It's
is
very busy
really
third-
busy
third
because
act.
at this point, like the FBI is after Devin because they
You
think
he's the serial murderer,
he's doing all
which is
this.
wild, by the way.
It is, especially. I mean,
Yeah,
the teacher one maybe because he did show up
and
There's
it
a
blew up. Yeah,
footprint.
Yeah.
Like I could see.
and they
where
could say, well, maybe he stabbed her, but why did he, and then maybe he burned the house down to hide the evidence.
yeah, because other than that, all of the other.
But
ones
like,
kind of-
how was he responsible for her getting hit by a fucking bus?
Yeah.
How is he responsible for?
for the bathroom scenes?
Yeah.
That's really the only one that they could potentially get. So he's hiding out in a in Claire's dad's cabin,
Yeah,
and he's like trying to booby.
I love that scene. Yeah, where there's all the like things that could hurt him,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like,
tetanus.
yeah. So he's like de-deathing everything.
And he's got that one closet that's full of all kinds of
Sharp
things.
shit. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then he realizes he's got because he's evaluating like everything, and he was like, "Oh no,
I'm not-
Clear's next."
Yeah, because he thought he was next.
Yeah, he thought he was next.
Yeah, then he remembered, oh no, Clear's next. So he has to go try to save her.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have that whole scene with the like electricity thing. What do you think about all that stuff?
That one's probably the most crazy of all of them.
Yeah, I would agree.
Also, I'm not an electrician. I don't know if the tires actually save you. We'd have to look that one up.
Yeah,
But he used his shoes
yeah,
to grab
to grab
the
it.
power line
Yeah.
and save her, and then it just kind of cuts from there.
Yeah,
And man, would you ever
go
get
on
on
a
a
trip?
plane
Fuck no.
again? No, I wouldn't either. I'd be driving.
So basically he
You know what?
saves her life.
I'd work from home.
Yeah, I agree. So he saves her life.
Mm-hmm.
And basically sacrifices himself, but is brought back.
Yeah.
Essentially. And so they think that they beat it because at this point, all they know is if you skip it, you beat death.
Yeah.
So we get the actual ending of the movie where we have this. He starts to see all the signs again.
Mm-hmm.
In the rover sees.
Well, and he's obsessed over this, and he pulls out his sheet, and then both of them are just like,
Yeah. He and Clear.
rest. Yeah, we beat it.
Yeah.
And then
He starts to see the signs.
yeah,
And then literally he sees the sign. When he's saved by Carter. Carter pushes him down. And he's like, oh my God, I saved you. And then we see
who's next?
Then the sign starts to swing back as we cut to black. It's a pretty great ending.
It is a really good ending. Yeah, and we talked about it earlier because they don't really leave you with a cliffhanger necessarily because it's coming for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not the original ending.
What'd you just say?
Not the original ending. There is actually an alternate ending for this movie that I've seen on. I've watched it. It's on the special features. It's also on the other stuff. So basically, the original ending, Alex dies from saving Clear, and trying to see if I can see it here. I can't. I don't see it right now. So basically, what happens is Alex dies saving Clear, at the end of the movie, it's, I think, sometime later, a year later or so, she's visiting his grave with Carter. Her and Carter are visiting the grave, and things have moved on. She's pregnant with Alex's child. And then I think we end. Let's see.
Probably should have said. I mean, I'm glad they didn't go with it. Otherwise, they would have had to have had a scene to set that up. Because
yeah, here's the alternate ending. Alex gets decapitated by a stray rudder from a downed. Oh, that's not the one I see. There was a love scene between them that was cut.
Okay, that would make sense then.
So there was one where he gets decapitated. That's not the ending I know, but basically he's supposed to die after Clear exits the Toyota. As she leaves the vehicle, ignites and he dies. And then here we go. He was supposed to die after Clear when she screams. Clear is in the hospital giving birth to their son, Alex Browning II. As it turns out, she and Clear survived the entirety of Final Destination because they were able to cheat death's design with two key methods: new life and the death of the final person in the original design. So new life cheating death doesn't get introduced into the second one, but that was basically it. So since she created new life, it canceled her out. And then her and Carter at the grave site. While the final cut doesn't have her pregnant or delivering Alex's baby, she somehow knows the method can exist. Yeah. So yeah, that's the alternate ending. It's a little, more, I guess, kind of, it's both more hopeful and more of a downer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in one, it's more hopeful because she survives and her and the baby will live on.
Mm-hmm.
And they beat death's design. But Alex is dead. Whereas in the theatrical ending, they cut out all that stuff and we just get, it's still out there kind of ending. The Halloween ending, so to speak.
Yeah,
probably the stronger ending.
The one that we got?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Cool idea, though, that life cancels out death.
Yeah, and they do introduce that.
Yes.
Now, they don't fulfill any of it.
No, but the concept is...
Yeah. I think that's introduced by Tony's character.
Well, I think
Clear
mentions it, too, somehow, even though she's not pregnant in the sequel.
But doesn't she... Because they go to visit...
her in an insane asylum.
No, they go... the new characters go to the mortuary.
Yes.
You know what? We're just going to have to do the next one. It gets introduced in the next one.
Yeah, yep.
We may or may not. I may or may not get the second one out there sooner rather than later. We'll find out.
Yep. So here it is. The original ending. Ended on a positive note. The film's central premise is death comes. It ends with acknowledgement that life is something worth living. Death cannot be avoided. New life beats death is explored. Yep. So, just like I said, she holds her son, who shares his father's name. Yeah, Clear and Carter visiting the memorial site. So, yeah, I think the ending we got is superior too.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on Final Destination? What do you think?
It's classic, man.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah, it is cool. Yeah, it's a good movie. It's classic. It definitely. What's the word I'm trying to say? So it makes you appreciate life when you do watch it.
Yeah.
I do like that was kind of the message that they were going for. Like, hey, it's inevitable.
Yep.
Live life to its
Live
fullest.
It. Yep.
You never know when it's going to happen. So yeah, you want me to give you a rating?
Yeah. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna give this movie a solid 8.
Yeah.
I think that this movie's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah, I think I'm going to give it an 8 as well. I've always liked this movie. Always thought it was a really solid better than solid. I always thought it was a really, really good horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, characters are great, deaths are great, suspense is there. Solid 8 for me as well. So, Derek, it's time to Atkinize this movie.
Mm,
Who would Tom Atkins play in this?
I guess Devin.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right?
He's gonna have to.
Because he could play Carter.
He could play Carter, but you're rooting for Carter to die.
That's true.
He's kind of a dick.
Yeah, but Tom Atkins could play anything.
He can.
Yep. He'd also be like the FBI agent, I suppose.
He could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't replace
Tony Todd? No. I'd say the FBI agent.
He's perfect in this franchise.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's the dang voice, man.
Yeah, it's the best voice.
Yeah.
I'll
be seeing you.
Yeah.
Soon.
When he does that point, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. All right. So it's my pick, right?
It is your pick.
What are we going to watch?
Dose?
No, we're not doing that one yet. I actually had something picked out. I'm trying to remember what it was, Derek. Oh, I know what we're watching. We're going to complete the second part of a trilogy. Because we are going to watch Ty West's Pearl.
Hmm.
What do you think?
That's the first one, right?
No, X is the first one.
Are
But
you
yes,
sure?
it's the first one chronologically, but it's the second movie.
Okay.
Right.
Wait, are you sure?
Yeah, we watch X first, remember?
Yeah.
Because it's the first movie.
Yeah.
Then they made Pearl, which is a prequel to X. And then Maxine is the third one.
So, just correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be wrong. The old lady in the bed scene, was that not her dressed up as an old lady?
Well, you mean the actress?
Yeah.
Yeah. She plays
Okay.
that's Pearl.
Yeah, I know that's Pearl.
Yeah, and then
I
Mia
thought
Goth
Pearl
plays.
came- So I thought Mia Goth plays Pearl.
Mhm.
I thought Pearl was first, and then they just
No, X is the movie.
looked like her.
No, X is the first movie.
Man.
And then they came up with the backstory for Pearl while shooting X, and then they just like, oh, let's make this movie, and they shot Pearl. And then they made Maxine.
Okay. So Pearl.
Yeah.
All right.
Pearl is streaming on Netflix currently,
Netflix, huh?
and Hulu, and Paramount Plus, and Amazon, and Sling TV. So yeah, Pearl is available on all of those locations. So that's what we're watching next week. I've not seen it. So first watch for all of us. Yep. All right.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. So, Derek, you got a story for us tonight? Or no?
Don't have one.
Yeah, you only had all day to think about it.
Hey, I was mentally busy.
We were making a movie. I'll give you a pass on that one. So that does our show for this week. Next week, Lydia should be back, and we'll get her rating for Final Destination during that time. And we will be seeing you guys for Pearl. In the description, like I said, you'll have the links to the movie. So, or for the page for the Indiegogo. So check that out. Watch for all the new news that we have coming out for the flick. It's on the way. Pretty exciting. And then next week, watch Pearl, streaming on Netflix. So until then, for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.